Thanks, Eddie. Coming up, heartbroken families of the Dreamworld ride crash victims speak as the coroner hands down his findings. Students injured when a school photo shoot goes awry, police clash over climate policy and honouring our four-legged soldiers. Tonight, scathing report. A coroner finds Dreamworld's ride tragedy was an accident waiting to happen.
Students injured as scaffolding collapses during a school photo session.
Veteran MPs lock horns over Labor's emissions target.
What an absolute load of pig manure.
And the Australian dollar plunges amid a spike in coronavirus cases.
This is NBN News with Paul Lobb and Natasha Beyersdorf.
Good evening. After 4 years today, there was finally some answers as a coroner handed down his findings into the Dreamworld Thunder River Rapids tragedy.
The theme park's owner may now face prosecution, and for the first time we can show you footage recreating the 2016 events that claimed 4 lives.
It's a police reenactment of the darkest day at Australia's biggest theme park. Mannequins strapped into 2 rafts on the Thunder River Rapids ride.
A school playground in Sydney became a temporary casualty ward this morning when a Year 12 class photo went horribly wrong. As the 125 students posed for the camera, the scaffolding below them collapsed.
It was about making memories, and this is one they'll never forget. 125 Year 12 students crammed onto scaffolding for a school photo. Emma Partridge, NBN News.
The crucial topic of saving our planet today became a shouting match in the corridors of power. Veteran MPs Barnaby Joyce and Joel Fitzgibbon locked horns over Labor's emissions target as pressure grows on Australia to do more to combat climate change.
No, we're going to be there a lot longer than that.
Performance art in Parliament.
What an absolute load of pig manure.
As the stench of the decade-long climate wars gets another airing. Chris Ullman, NBN News.
A Newcastle mother today denied deliberately harming her 9-year-old daughter by injecting her with urine. The woman, who can't be identified for legal reasons, is also accused of secretly giving the girl laxatives and tampering with medical samples.
She's accused of harming the very person she should have been protecting. A 47-year-old mother charged with injecting her own daughter with urine. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
A cyclist was struck by a car just after peak hour this morning on busy Hannell Street at Maryville. Thankfully, the rider escaped serious injury. The driver underwent a mandatory breath test. The cyclist was taken to hospital suffering minor injuries. Mediation will begin tomorrow between Williamtown residents affected by PFAS contamination and the Defence Department. Lawyers for the Residents Action Group will attend the court-ordered talks with Defence ahead of a scheduled hearing in the Federal Court from April 1. There are hopes the case may be settled ahead of any court action. Mediation is scheduled to take place over 2 days.
Hunter farmers are hoping for follow-up rain after the falls that have turned drought-ravaged pastures from brown to luminous green. Many dams are full, and for the first time in a long while, confidence is high.
A month ago, it was a bone-dry dam on a parched property just outside Singleton. Today, it's hard to believe this is the same spot. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
Maitland's new hospital is on track for completion in early 2022. The project reached a milestone today with a major concrete pour signalling the start of a new construction phase.
From Metford Road, it's a hive of activity. Dozens of cement trucks pouring in as the new Maitland Hospital starts to take shape. Stephen Mount, NBN News.
Coming up, the latest from London as WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange prepares to fight extradition to the US.
Also ahead, a couple buying ice cream caught up in a terrifying robbery.
In the next few hours, Julian Assange will face off with the American government in court as the US tries to extradite the WikiLeaks founder on spy charges. Europe correspondent Ben Avery reports from London.
Well, this hearing will begin very shortly in Woolwich Crown Court. Julian Assange is being held in the nearby Belmarsh prison. He's expected to be brought across to appear in court in person.
Gavin Morris joins us now for a quick look at the weather. And Gav, there's more rain on the way for northeastern New South Wales.
Yes, that's right. It's been tumbling down again throughout today. A little bit streaming southward, reaching parts of the Upper Hunter. Some follow-up falls there. The Upper Hunter won't see much tomorrow, nor the northwest, anywhere west of the Tablelands. So it's in that defined line from the Tablelands, the New England Highway per se, towards the coast. The showers streaming through. With still a couple of heavy downpours around the Tweed and the Byron area, and the Gold Coast certainly received plenty of rain as well this morning, and throughout today a couple of heavy showers. So that activity is here for some time now as we wind down summer and we enter autumn. The first week of autumn may be extremely wet. More details later in the bulletin.
Thanks, Gav. Ahead in the news, the memorial to honour Australian soldiers' best friends.
And an elderly couple rescued after a week missing in the woods. There are calls across the political divide to find solutions to the growing rate of domestic violence after the murders of Hannah Clark and her children. Federal Parliament today united in grief to pay its respects and vowed to protect women and children.
In a suburban park, a sanctuary for a troubled mum and her 3 children, hundreds came to honour their memory, support the family, to say goodbye.
A Melbourne grammar school has denied snubbing former student and Olympic swimming champion Mac Horton in order to protect its business interests in China.
Horton, who took a stand against a Chinese rival accused of doping, was in line to have the school's new pool named after him.
Well, this is a story that has become very sensitive in Caulfield grammar circles. That is, of course, the one about former Caulfield grammar student Mac Horton, who is now an Australian swim champion.
Laura Turner reporting there. A powerful earthquake has struck near the Turkish-Iranian border, leaving 9 people dead, including 3 children. The 5.7 magnitude tremor toppled buildings across dozens of villages. Authorities believe many people are still trapped under the rubble.
US police have raced to save residents of a burning apartment block north of Philadelphia, their body cameras rolling as they arrived at the scene.
Get down! Get down! Come on! Get out!
A national surveillance system which monitors annual flu seasons has swung into action early as Australia braces for a potential coronavirus outbreak.
Flu tracking will have more than 50,000 participants this year, making it the biggest survey of its type in the world. Declared an international public health emergency, there have now been nearly 79,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus around the world. Flu tracking will have more than 50,000 participants this year, but coordinators are looking for more to sign up, particularly parents with young children and those living in rural and remote areas.
Aussie steelmaker BlueScope has admitted coronavirus will have a major impact on its bottom line after losing almost $500 million in profit. Falling steel prices are being blamed for the 70% plunge, with the outbreak now restricting its Chinese operations.
And as we reported earlier, the Australian share market took a huge dive today. The All Ords closed 165 points lower. Investor uncertainty peaked amid those coronavirus fears. Plumbing supplies company Reliance Worldwide dropped more than 26%. The big banks finished lower, as did energy and healthcare stocks. To commodities, and gold is trading higher while oil is lower. And the Aussie dollar is currently buying just over 66 US cents and almost 74 yen.
Time for the sport now with Mitchell Hughes.
And Mitch, our women's cricketers are trying to get their World Cup campaign back on track.
They certainly are. It's game on at the Wacker. Thanks, Tash. Thanks, Paul. The latest from Perth in a moment. Also ahead, Australia's men fall short despite some Steve Smith heroics. And the Eels skipper determined to move on from his contract saga. There's been an early breakthrough for Australia in its second match of the Women's T20 World Cup. Megan Schutt bagged a wicket in the first over against Sri Lanka in Perth. A short time ago, the visitors were 2 for 57.
Outside the off stump once more, this time.
Steve Smith put his body on the line with some brilliant fielding in the men's second T20 clash with South Africa overnight. Unfortunately, Australia still fell short, the home side levelling the series.
This was a match Australia shouldn't have lost. Got him! Leg stump. Good stuff, Ngidi. The Proteas put on a clinic of death bowling, keeping the Aussies 12 runs short of the 158 target.
Eels captain Clint Gutherson is determined to get in the way of a Roosters three-peat. He says people are sick of the domination. Parramatta was the last team to win 3 straight titles, and Gutherson doesn't want the Tricolours to match that feat.
He's captain cool, not much rattles King Clint, but he's finally confessed last year's never-ending contract saga messed with his mind.
In just a moment, fears Ben Simmons has suffered a serious back injury, and the Jets sign a star striker. There's concern for Australian basketball star Ben Simmons after he left the court early with a back injury in Philadelphia's clash with the Milwaukee Bucks. Simmons had an MRI last night but needs further testing to determine the extent of the damage. Edgeworth has sent a pre-season warning to its NPL rivals, beating Adamstown 4-1 to claim its second straight Heritage Cup. The Eagles' Josh Rose won the Cole Curran medal as man of the match. Both sides went into the decider having won the Heritage Cup before. The Eagles struck first.
Great strike, Adam Corley.
The extent of Sione Matautia's knee injury will become clearer when he receives scan results tomorrow morning. His Newcastle teammates say there were positives to come out of the heavy trial loss to the Dragons.
The bulk majority of the 20 minutes where our starting 13 was on, it was 6-all, good defence, back and forth. Dragons have a very good team as well, so I think out of that, our defence and our attack was a bit scrappy, but at the end of the day, that's something we can fix throughout the year.
The Knights will face the Roosters in their final pre-season trial at Gosford on Saturday. Returning to cricket, and New South Wales has made a solid start to the Sheffield Shield clash against South Australia in Sydney. The Hunters' Jason Sanger made his long-awaited return to the Blues, but his first innings didn't go according to plan. The home side won the toss and elected to bat. Daniel Hughes and Nick Larkin produced an opening stand of 52. Let's hope for some more runs for Jason in the second innings.
For sure. Thank you. Stay with us for the weather next with Gav.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Hunter Water. Love water. It belongs to all of us.
It's time to get the latest details on the weather now with Gav.
Thank you so much, Tash. Good evening. The final week of summer is here. A little bit cloudy and nice to have a few showers throughout the valley tonight. This evening's weather photo, it is a beautiful sunrise shot here at Scone to Maryville. Lovely to see almost 200 millimetres accumulated throughout many locations now throughout that part of the valley. As we saw in Jane's story earlier on, 300 millimetres accumulated around the catchments of Dungog and 400 millimetres plus at Gloucester so far for 2020. Big rain happened again over the past 24 hours, mostly throughout Queensland, some of it again spilling around the Coffs Coast. Western Australia is also consistently seeing rain. We've got Tropical Cyclone Esther that crossed the coast of the Gulf throughout this afternoon, headed towards Macarthur Roper of the Territory. Cyclone Ferdinand is underway, and we've got plenty of cloud cover and showers and light periods of rain right throughout the east, northern New South Wales, and a little bit on the way again throughout tomorrow. There's Esther moving further inland, bringing with it big rains, but stealing all of the rain from the northern tip of the Territory. In the west, it is going to be another warm one, hot one there, with storms likely, hot in the centre, sunny and comfortable, nice in Adelaide. Throughout the southeast, right throughout Sydney, largely fine weather prevails. Melbourne's got a shower in the forecast if you're travelling, and Brisbane a little bit more as well. On the radar there, it is streaming down from the north yet again, rolling off the mountains and right throughout the catchments, which is fantastic. So they have received the most rain rain. So very nice to see. Temperatures maxed out mostly into the mid-20s, but Nora ahead, topping the list there with 29 degrees throughout today. Humidity count is up, evaporation rates down. Tomorrow again, northerly winds and that nor'easter pushing in. Light variable, very calm conditions today, and pretty much the same again with that afternoon nor'easter, and showers likely again right throughout the northern flank there around the catchments from Gloucester to the Barringtons, but most of the populated areas of the Central Coast, Lake, Port Stephens, Newcastle, going to be fine. Warm, humid temperatures, high 20s, and once we move in throughout the suburban areas, Lower Hunter, we'll be jumping over 30 degrees. So there's still a bit of warmth there as we enter the final days of summer, and the next two will be the hottest before the change comes through there on Wednesday night. Swell back to a metre and abating further. Tomorrow morning there's a high tide at 10:24, so we've got the low in the afternoon or early in the morning tomorrow at 4 a.m. Sun to rise 6:36, down at 7:35 as we enter a new moon phase. Really heating up there on Wednesday. That will be the last hot day of summer. Then storms coming through with the change, dropping temperatures for Thursday. Headed towards a largely fine weekend, particularly for the Hunter Valley. A little bit of warmth as we wind down the final days of summer, and then into autumn with a little bit of wet weather reaching us on the coast. But big falls, it seems, right throughout the northern New South Wales coast to enter the new season. The catchments, we're currently sitting now at 63%. Back to level 1 water restrictions. Hunter Water has given us a lovely little present there because we've been so good and we had some lovely rain there, and that's reflected in Chester now up to 100%. Lostock has been rising to 90%. Surfers, a couple of little waves around today. That really sums it up right there. Small and clean. It was so nice just to have calm conditions. Yes, it is a windy coast. It is a windy city, so calm days do feel kind of special. The warm water is fun. The cloud is with us. Another small surf day on the way again tomorrow.
Thank you, Gav, and that's our bulletin on this Monday.
A current affair is next, and we'll have updates throughout the evening.
For now, though, from all of us here.
Good night.
Good night.